I think revealing our faces actually had so much to do with our success too. Like people wanted to know the background story, wanted to know who the three girls are, and like we're friendly people, so it wasn't like we were very personable, and restaurants exploded, people started recognizing us, and that's how like word sort of got out. Like these three girls are doing X, Y, and Z, and we just kept blossoming.
The Halal Food Podcast by Halal Run, the number one guide to halal eating options in the US, Canada, and the UK. On our podcast, we feature inspiring and accomplished Muslims in the West from all backgrounds, and we talk to them about their lives and the halal places where they love to eat. In this episode, we have a special treat for you. Our guests are the MuslimFoodies, three incredible women, Sameen, Jiniya, and Tahirah, who came together a few years ago to fill what they saw as a vacuum, the lack of information about halal places to eat in New York City, where they're from. Well, they got together, created the MuslimFoodies Instagram account, and have taken the New York halal world by storm, and even the greater North American halal world online. They had so much to talk about, and there are three of them. So we broke it into 3 episodes, of which this is the first part. So sit back, enjoy. If you find this episode valuable, make sure to hit that like button. Now over to the interview. And we're here with the MuslimFoodies themselves. Ladies, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us.
Like
Walaikum
Muslim.
salam. Thank you for having us.
And for our audience, the MuslimFoodies are 3 women who have come together to review under the name MuslimFoodies, and they are Jiniya, Tahirah, and Sameen, and we are excited to talk to them today. So let's jump right into this. How did the 3 of you first individually get into food and food blogging, and then how did you all come together to become MuslimFoodies?
So for me, sorry. So I basically, obviously, eating halal in Manhattan, because I went to school in Manhattan High School and college, was very difficult. But I love food, so I just wanted to explore options that like Muslims could eat, which it wasn't necessarily only halal restaurants, but also like other spots where I can get like vegetarian options and vegan options. And I think during that time was like the Instagram era. So I would go to a restaurant with my friends, and I love taking pictures of the food and posting it on my Instagram. And I knew I wanted to do more with that, but because I was so busy with college, I didn't really get to do much with this. So I was just like, okay, this is just gonna I guess whatever, I'll just share it with like my Instagram followers. And during that's basically just my love for food, and the whole thing with Instagram, social media, just blogging, just capturing your day-to-day life. You noticed that a lot of this time I just eat. So that's where my liking for realization that wow, I love food came from. And then I met Jiniya in college and Tahirah, both of them. I met them both in college, and that's Jiniya essentially thought the idea of MuslimFoodies, and I thought that was amazing. And we kind of and then Jiniya and Tahirah both collaboratively started. I guess they joined MuslimFoodies first, and then they recruited me, and then that's how I came about.
All right. Well, this is an interesting story. I want to unpack this a little bit. So, Tahirah, what was your journey into food reviewing, blogging before you met Sameen?
Before I met either of them, I was actually the foodie of my family. I would be the one to go and want to travel 2 hours to try to find something interesting or something cool. Or I would have no problem just waking up one day and just I feel to have a, I don't know, chicken sandwich and look it up. So I would always be the one to be taking the photos or trying to find new places. Even now in the family, I'm just like, oh, if you need a recommendation, go to Tahirah, which sucks, but it's tiring, but it's okay because I really love it.
It's a lot of pressure.
Oh yes. But yeah, I was always just that person. And then I back in high school, I didn't really have much leeway. I went to high school in the Bronx, and it was kind of far from everything else. So really just my commute was just going to school and coming back. My parents didn't really give me that leeway to go into Manhattan per se. So when I did get that opportunity, I would always go for food. And then I met Jiniya officially really in college. That's when I got to know her, and we realized we had like similar interests regarding food. Same thing with Sameen. Like we were just like, oh my god, like we all our three Instagrams for our collective Muslim community at City College, like we were the three foodies. We'd always be posting food. Our Instagrams were just food, and then you'll have a little snippet of family, and then food, and a little snippet of family. So that was our day-to-day lives pretty much. But it really started with just, again, like how Sameen said, there's a social media era. We want to showcase what you're doing for the day, what you're eating, what did I have for lunch, what did I have for dinner. Oh, there's this cool spot that opened up just now. Their pizza's really good, so something like that. And then I just sort of blended it with their interests.
Awesome. And Jiniya, what was your path?
I guess my villain origin story was that I really enjoyed cooking. I really liked in high school and college. I really liked cooking, baking. I was very much like a home kind of like the home chef in the house. And when I guess like lost time to have that opportunity to cook at home, I would go to restaurants. And during college, I would go to restaurants a lot. And because we were all in campus in Harlem. We went to City College.
By the way, sorry to interrupt. Now you've just all told me you went to City College. I live right around the corner from City College. I live in
Oh no
Hamilton,
way!
right? So I live in your old hood. So if you ever want a reunion, like we'll go out to dinner. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Please.
No, it's okay. Yeah, we after classes we just go to different restaurants to have dinner or lunch. And yeah, like what they said, it was like very Instagram era that time. It was like 2016, 2017, very peak, like Instagram's rolling out, it's becoming like the new Facebook kind of thing. And we just love to showcase what we were doing throughout our day, and it was mostly food. And we just love posting about it on our personal Instagrams. Aside from like, like personal lives, family, and all that stuff. But it became more about food. And, I thought of the idea one day. I was like, wait, there's not really like a food blog for Muslims anywhere, and I don't even think there was any like outside of New York. It was mostly like just like mainstream food Instagrams like NYC Eats or like other pages like New Fork City or stuff like that, and I just didn't really see that representation for halal food. And so I was like, why not just create a page like that, create a platform like that to share halal restaurants for halal restaurants. And we just began as like posting our own just adventures to different restaurants, and just for like family and friends or people who just asked us for recommendations like in school or just our circles. And then it just kind of like took off. uh we had no direction into where it was gonna go at that time. It just kind of was like, oh, this is what we ate and this is what we thought about the food, kind of thing. It was a food review, kind of very food review centric. And we just take nice photos, make it look presentable. So it just looks attractive, and yeah, it just blew up.
So let me dig into some of this. Like what was the like the historic moment where the three of you met? Like was there like were you like each in different corners of campus and the sun sort of like started shining and you saw it, looked into each other's eyes, and then you're like, or but like how did this come together? Yeah.
There's this one particular evening when we were walking to this restaurant called, I believe it was called Bar Taco. It was actually owned by a Muslim and non-Muslim. The Muslim actually introduced halal meats and use different fryers, stoves, everything like that. So there's no cross contamination. And he told us this through, I think it was via email or the Instagram page. And it's located in the East Village. I'm not even sure if it's still there yet, but it's in the East Village. And there was one day when Sameen came along with us, and that time Sameen wasn't like officially in the Muslim foodies, sphere. We just kind of like I just like took the initiative and like told Tiara like, hey, like, can you just like bring Sameen along with us from now on? And we kind of just like inaugurated her from there. But me and Tahira, we just like kind of go a little back. We just like kind of always loved going outside together, and we just enjoyed each other's company, and we just vibed together.
But collectively, we all knew each other from our MSA in City College. Like that's basically like where we met, because it was just like a whole bunch of like our like Muslim girlfriends, like, we just in the club room, and we would just like, talk. And that's basically how I found out about Jiniya and the food blog. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I want to do something like this. And like, so I expressed my interest, but like, I didn't really think I was ever going to like be a part of like her group.
Be
So I was
invited to
like,
be a full band member.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And
So
she's like, oh, she's just a fangirl, whatever.
yeah. And then one day, like, obviously, it was towards the end of, because they are younger than me. So it was the end of, when I was graduating, was that year, when like I actually had more time. So Jania, like, when I went, I was like, oh yeah, like Jania was like, hey, like, let's go to this place we're going, you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sure, I have time, so let's go. And then that's when they kind of like, officiated me, and I was like, oh my God, no way.
I wish we had a video of like her moment, because she literally just like burst, like she was just full of excitement.
She's just like, okay,
Yeah, which is,
kind of thing.
I really wish we had a video of that moment.
I know. That's how it sounds. It's like there's this movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg that's really based on like Judas Priest, where there was like a guy who was like a cover band singer, and he got invited to join the group and whatever, and it just made his life, right? So, um, uh, what so between then and now, right? Obviously, you've blown up, right? Mashallah, right? You're one of the largest blogs in the halal space there is, and you've got a massive following. Like, how did you do that? What do you attribute that to?
I personally, I think Jiniya has a lot to do with this. Like for instance, like I feel like me and Sameen, well, personally me, I know for a fact, when it comes to like forefronting things, I would just be more shy about it, and Jiniya would be really the one like, no, like we got to do this, or like, no, there's the a restaurant open or stuff like that. So she really made me or helped me prioritize like doing the blog and like trying different things or like getting a different idea of different times to post, let's say. And she's really like the one who's like in the forefront of that. She knows what she's doing, and even like if she wants to try something new, or like somebody wants to try something new, I'll probably just be like, no, like let's just stick to what we're doing. But like that's not how you sort of grow. So really, like both of them, they helped me break out into like this little, out of my little eggshell, I should say. And I think that's just so important, like when you have all three people on board, um, to really just keep like forefront and keep like pushing forward. So yeah, it was really like that for personally for me. Like I think that's one reason why we exploded. Because I feel like if we just left it like just doing the regular degler, or even like, well, before when we started out, we were anonymous, and then they were just like, maybe we should start incorporating our lives and opening up our faces, exposing our faces. So, even then I was just like, oh, I don't think we should do that. Maybe we should just be anonymous. We should just keep doing the reviews, like underhanded essentially, and people don't know who we are. But I think revealing our faces actually had so much to do with our success too. Like people wanted to know the background story, wanted to know who the three girls are, and like, we're friendly people. So it wasn't, like we're very personable, and restaurants exploded, people started recognizing us, and that's how like word sort of got out, like these three girls are doing X, Y, and Z. And we just kept blossoming.
I think, to add on to that, for from my personal experience, and what I've noticed is that when we first started the blog and we started going to restaurants, it was very much just like Jania said before. It was basically like we just did our own thing. We just like found halal restaurants that we personally went to ourselves, and we would just put them on the blog. And then we started searching up like halal restaurants, like actively searching up restaurants, going to them, and like and then putting them on the blog. So just being very active on social media, going to like restaurants often, posting often, we saw that our following like built up, because I guess like a lot of the Muslim community in like New York City, like that's something that they wanted to see. They wanted to see like restaurants in their area, or like new restaurants that they haven't tried, and then they also wanted to see like a review of like the restaurants too, because a lot of times like you don't really have like reviews for like a lot of halal restaurants. A lot of at least like the restaurants that we went to, they don't have like proper reviews on like Google. So like just like a space that had reviews, like I think that's probably what like attracted a lot of people as well. And then with that, I don't think we've necessarily like were thinking about like, oh, like we need to like expand our reach. It was more of like we just did what we did, and then like with Instagram, like we were like, oh, like thinking about like the best time to post on Instagram, like to make sure like everyone sees this, and like just like these logistics, like Jiniya like what really worked on that. She's like the one that was the mastermind behind that with like her like backgrounds. So she like just like statistics and all that stuff, like seeing like when the best time to post is, like seeing how this can help the Muslim community, and we want to like expand our outreach. That really like knowing those like statistics and like knowing like timings, being more active, like really played a role into like helping us grow. And then like once we started building a following, a lot of restaurants, maybe by word of mouth, or like like I don't know, I mean the restaurant industry is like pretty big, but like I guess in the Muslim community, a lot of restaurant owners like do know each other, so like through that word spread, and I guess like that's how like we kind of grew.
Amazing. So just to follow up a little bit to dig into more, like what is the like the division of roles and responsibilities among the three of you within MuslimFoodies? Like who does what, or do you all do it, or do you like how does it work with three people? Obviously the more the merrier, and you get more content and you build a bigger brand, but like when there's a group, they have to figure out how to work together. So who does what?
I think like we kind of just like pitch in whenever we can, and it's very the roles are very blurred. However, I mostly handle like the creative and the marketing, the guys like the face of MuslimFoodies. We all just kind of equally brainstorm, go out to different restaurants. We kind of just take on that role and that initiative to do what we can and contribute in any way we can. But in terms of like logistics and I guess like the strategy of how we proceed with MuslimFoodies, it would be like Sameen and Tahira. Tahira really helps in like just grounding us and like just kind of like me and Sumi kind of have like these like giant ideas sometimes, and like Tahira's like I don't know if we can do that, but like she's very like helpful in that area where she kind of just like tells us how it is, and like how people see our page, and kind of just another she just gives another perspective. But I mostly handle like the creative background and the advertising marketing.
Oh wow! Did when you review a restaurant, do all three of you go together, or is like different? Like sometimes each one of you goes or two of you goes. Like how does it usually work?
It started off as all three of us going together because we did obviously all live in New York City once upon a time. But now because like Tahira like moved to Florida, and then I moved like and then but then she came back, thankfully, yes. Which we're so grateful for. It was like me and Jiniya for a while, and then when she came back, like started, it was us three again. But we do have like whenever, as we're getting older and like we have our own jobs, we do realize that like there are other responsibilities. We might not have some like as much time, so we would either, if we can't go together, which is what we try to do for most of the time, but like if we can't, then we'll just go either alone, either like it'll be just the two of us, or maybe like I'll go with like my husband, or Tahira will go with like her husband, and like or like it'll be me and Jiniya and Tahira. So it's like it's all over. Like we kind of just like we try to keep it like all three of us, but if we can't, like we just like, do like just to visit spots, like we'll either do it on our own or group up.
Got it. So since you alluded to that, do you? It sounds like you all have like, or do all of you have sort of like jobs or other careers outside of this, or is this your main focus?
No, we all have like our separate little like Muslim food is our connecting force. But we all yeah, I feel like each have like our little individual bubbles too. We have our different lives.
Yeah, we all have day jobs
Day
and
jobs, yeah.
So what are your careers like in the food industry or outside, or like
I wish.
no, I am a graphic designer. I work at a media agency, and I also do photography freelance.
And I'm a medical transcriptionist or medical scribe.
Oh, very cool.
And I'm a PA. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks for joining us. Halal Run is the #1 guide to halal eating options in the US, Canada, and UK. We have over 17,000 listings in our directory in over 2,500 cities across North America and the UK. You can find us on our website, halalrun.com, or on all our socials, where everywhere we are at Halal Run. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe so we can bring you more content just like this. We are here to serve you.